We're going to cover the story of this retro carburetor. Okay, I want you to look at it because they advertise this as fitting this PB1000, which I explained that through using a drill with a step bit, you got to be very careful to size that. And this tab right here for the throttle will actually almost be almost in the exact opposite, but it's not. So you're going to have to round out that hole. And the only thing I used on the new carburetor was this to hold the shaft and this lucky screwdriver. I had this to take the air cleaner off, and I used my larger Phillips. That carburetor came out, and then we'll talk about installing that tank grommet. Okay, it was probably very easy. As far as I'm concerned, it was the easiest that I've ever had it. Now that tank grommet is seeping a little bit, so I am going to put a little sealer in there. It's just a part of buying Chinesium. And the way you get that in there is WD-40, and you kind of use like a screwing motion, and where it bulges that it's not wanting to go down in, I use this, which is not proper because it has a point on it. But I'm going to pull it. I had it running. I went to upload my video of my holiday story from years past. Let's see if it'll pop right off. Yeah, it cooled off a little bit. The throttle is a little anorexic compared to the old carburetor, so that's why I'm not going to trash this. I'm going to get a rebuild kit and see if I can chance rebuilding that, which they're fairly simple. The only thing is this is going to have to get soaked because those two check valves that are inside there are caked with something. And I have my secret solution, which it's warm in my shop, so I'm just going to put it in a container, let it sink to the bottom, disassembled, and then I'm going to get a rebuild kit for the original, because although that works, it just does not have quite the thrust. And I've noticed that with these Chinese carburetors, or the ones that you buy on Fleabay and Scamazon, if they work at all, you don't really get the high. And there is adjustment. There's 3 screws there, okay? The one in the middle is static. It doesn't do anything. I don't know what it's there for. Maybe somebody can tell me if it has a purpose. Maybe you can take it out of there and there's a secret metering, like almost like you have a throttle, or not a throttle, but a fuel air, like a mid-range adjustment. Maybe that's what that is, but I'm not going to go when I don't know how to take it off of there. Maybe somebody can tell me. See, I don't know everything. I admit that when I don't know something. It's part of my honesty. Sometimes people, they get a little frustrated with me when I kind of tell people, if I don't know it today, usually I'll figure it out. And you got to kind of be that way today. If you're going to help yourself in this world that we're living in, I mean, I dropped a chainsaw off, 2 weeks ago, and I haven't heard nothing about it. Well, let it down there. Let it there till spring. You know, if you're gonna be that slow and you're not gonna keep up with your customer, that's one thing. When people brought stuff here, I kind of gave them a daily update, and that's why I said during COVID got me a bad reputation, because if I could get parts, they weren't good parts. They were garbage. There was a lot of stuff that was left here. People got disgusted. They went out and whipped out their credit card, which is what Joe Biden was all about, to feed the Chinese money. But I could not get parts, and there was a lot of parts, they were just NA. I was even going through that with the vehicles. It severely hurt people, and people are still not recovered, and our president is still hurting us. I don't know why he hasn't done anything about recovery and getting people to spend some money and get this economy going again. You know, the more money you take out of it, the less jobs. Trump's saying he's creating jobs. I don't know where in his fucking imagination, just like the gas prices and that are coming down. Not here where I live, baby. It's just going up, or it's staying static. Thanks for watching my videos, and that carburetor will work. Remember what I said. You're just going to have to deal with that, and just be very careful. Just take your time. You don't need any special tools. Just use your shooting eye. That's all you need. Line it up real good, and maybe that's part of my throttle issue there. Maybe I could tweak that, but you know what? It runs. It's going to do its job. It's going to blow leaves, but maybe there would be a way to give it a little more throttle with maybe playing with that. But as far as as far as I was concerned, it was in the place where this was, and it would not have worked in the other position that it was at. So I took my chances. But that could be, if I want to play with it in the future and get cocky or whatever, maybe when I get this rebuilt and know this works, then I'll play with that. But then how many times can you take these lines apart? I might as well order another one of those carburetors, because that carburetor, as I said, is not a direct fit. As you can see, it's different. Those are the screws, the adjustment screws that your original, this is a Zama. Okay, and as far as I'm concerned, Zama made some good, every machine I ever had with a Zama carburetor, it went 10, 12, 15 years before it needed a carburetor. And a lot of times, I think I have another machine down there. I'm not sure if that's an Echo or a Steel. I don't know what it is, but I know that has a Zama carburetor. And I ran into the same problem. It looked like another carburetor would fit. Well, you know what? I just parked it, because like I said, my folks were giving me stuff when my mom went into assisted living, and then my dad, he just doesn't fix nothing anymore. He just doesn't want to deal with the people's attitudes when you take something. Well, maybe we can fix it. I said, Dad, you know what? I says, I'm kind of the same way with people. I said, because you don't know if you can get parts, and you don't know if the parts you're getting are just going to be crap. And I said, that's why those guys are the way they are. They don't mean to be that way. We're not natured naturally that way. What's going on with this economy in this country is what's hurting guys like us. And I would rather not give the Chinese another goddamn, I'd gladly give them that 10, 20 bucks for this carburetor that I just got. But I'm not going to give them another $200, $300 for another machine that doesn't even last 2 years. I had 2 leaf blowers like that. Didn't even get 2 years out of them. I couldn't fix them. I couldn't get parts. They were retro parts that didn't work. The Chinese, they laughed. So sorry, Charlie. Guess what? I'd rather not give them another goddamn dime. But at least that carburetor that I put on there, the proof is in the pudding. It does work. You just got to modify it. What did I do? I drove modified stock cars. Why is it called modified? Because everything's different and modified on it. It's kind of a joke, but anyway. Watch your fuel line. I told you this Targon line is Chinese crap. That other one was on. That other fuel line was only on there a couple days, and it was already hard and garbage. Thanks for watching my videos. But that carburetor that's on, that carburetor's on Scamazon, and it's on Fleabay. You can get it on either site. I think there's a couple independent sites that have it. It does work. Just modify it. Thanks for watching my videos.